Hello, welcome to the McEwan Brother. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode on the McEwan Brother podcast. My name's Jamie. My brother's name's Gregor. And let's get into this week.
Yes, welcome to this week's podcast. Thank you for listening in. I was actually thinking before we started, Jamie, in this week's podcast that I would look at the stats and see how many people are listening, but I don't think it's worthwhile.
I think what we need to do in terms of, hopefully if you're listening to this, if you can share it with family, friends, we really much appreciate. Get ourselves out there. We're starting, this is our 9th episode, I think, for 8th and 9th episode. 8th episode.
So I've trying to start off the week like a bit different, right? I ask you, how was your week? You tell me how your week was, Jimmy. But this week, let's mix it up and let's maybe learn a bit more about you, right? You are at uni, studying marketing and all these sort of things. So you're very goal driven. And I'm interested to know, as we progress to come out of lockdown and maybe the world turns to some form of normality, what are you hopeful for and what are your goals? Have you set any goals that you want to achieve in this year?
So the first question about sort of like goals or expectations or what the thoughts of like coming out of this lockdown and stuff like that, I think is just trying to get the world back to normality. So I'm looking forward to the aspect of, just being able to go out and about and not worry about it or something, or, just be going to dinner or just living life, going back to living life as we used to go back 2 years ago.
So you want to go out for dinner, basically?
I don't know if I do, because I'm a skinflint now and just trying to save my money for other things. Because what I was going to go into talk about is, when it comes to goals and objectives, I've got this drive to really want to, obviously me and you talked about the property and stuff, is get the first property. I will, by the end of this year, have that first property on the list. In terms of my future, once I finish uni, that's kind of uncertain because of girlfriend still in uni, maybe going up to Aberdeen to join her. There's so many different aspects of things where I'm looking at starting my own business, and a lot of things have to happen, and a lot of things I think this summer will change for me a lot. The next 6 months, I think the next 6 months from now, I'll either find myself settled down in a job that I'm happy with and I'm earning half decent money and I can start then looking at mortgages and stuff for a property, or other hand, I've started a business and started to make some good money doing that. Both of them, the objective at the end of the day is to try and build up funds towards my next investment, which is going to be property, which I think me and you have got the similar aspect of wanting to do the exact same.
Yeah, good goals. I think there's nothing that surprised me there. And yeah, I feel like you are, you're coming out of uni. It's a very exciting time because, what is the world going to be like in 6 months' time? And plus you've recently bought a van and you're doing your dissertation. So the next month is going to be obviously pretty busy for you at the moment. But for what you get up to next is going to be, I'm pretty excited to see and learn what you get up to. Obviously looking at jobs so you can get on the job market, and then that'll lead to a property or stable income. Do you keep your job that you're at with Free Mobile? And how well does the gardening do? That's quite exciting for me, and I think that shows you what you can do and what your goals are, and that you're quite determined. So
I think in the short term for me, it's obviously dissertation. Once that's done, and I'm going to be applying. I'm still looking at jobs all over the place. I'm still doing that, but in the short term, the biggest thing is obviously I bought the van, so it's really, I finish uni. Once I finish uni, I'm going to be putting so much effort into the garden business. I've got so much people already in contact with me from, as me and you did before the business and stuff. I've got contacts from before that are actually reaching out to me saying, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do this? And I've got a list of things that I could probably keep myself occupied straight after I finish uni for at least minimum a month.
Which is
Full on.
good, which is great actually. That shows you that there's demand there, and you've got, obviously you've done it in the past, so you've got a little bit of clientele there, and depending on which way you take it, you're doing this thing, it doesn't mean you're tied down as well. If you do set it up, you could potentially move it to a different location if you go to Aberdeen. So yeah, I think you're playing it smart. You're not like tied down to anything right now. The flip side of that is kind of like you're in a bit of a limbo stage, I guess a lot of people are, and I definitely was when I left uni. But you've got certain goals and you've got a target. So yeah, I think that's good.
I think I would like to not to be cocky or big heady or anything, but I think I'm well set up for when I finish uni. I think I'm set up for either I've got the CV ready, I've got the experience behind me to go and apply for jobs, and I'll have the degree behind me to even back myself up. But on the other hand, I've also got the skills and assets where I can know that I can do stuff on my own to create my own income. And I like that. I like the aspect I've got two options. It's not a lot of people will leave uni going, I need to find a job, and then not do something for the whole summer until they get a job. And I think for me I can't picture doing that. There's always something on the go.
Do you think, what was I going to say? Well, what train of thought? I mean, it sounds good. And yeah, you've got, I don't know, you've got me and Callum to look up to, whatever, and be like, you guys are idiots and I'm going to do my own thing, which sounds like you can learn from a lot from. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. And I think with this podcast, once we like listen back to our chats, it could be quite funny.
I think you talked about there about looking up. So looking up to the brothers. So if I actually was, I don't know if you remember this, but going a little bit back and obviously talking about the start of this episode is a bit about me and about learning, you listeners learning a little bit more about myself. When I did the college and was moving on to university, do you remember you and Callum having a chat with me?
I mean, we've had many chats, but
so it was an aspect of how easy. I remember Callum saying it specifically, going, how easy was your first 2 years at college? And you both ended up talking to me about like why you're not going on to do uni and going forward.
There was a chat.
When I look back on it, I go, I had so many different routes that I could have gone. In 5th year, I applied to an apprenticeship that I just missed out on. If I'd got that, my life would be a lot different. I did 2 years at college thinking that was all I was going to do and leave there and then never go back to do education again. I'll go do my own thing. And then you two both convinced me to apply to go to uni. And I've done my 2 years at uni and the time has flown in. I just can't believe I can't believe this is it. Like, this is me coming to an end. Like, I remember when you were doing it. I remember when Callum was doing it and like how stressed you were and how everything that. And it just seems crazy that I'm at that stage now. And I'm quite grateful for everything. Things have happened for a reason. And I think that I'm at this point now where life's kind of good and the future looks good. Obviously, with pandemic's not the best, but I'm still happy with everything that's the potential that I can have for the future. So
that's good. I'm with you on that. Nice. So I think that sums up your past week, what your thoughts are. So yeah, do you know
what we'll do is we'll do a quick. I feel like it's only fair to at least we'll do next week. We'll do a little bit more about yourself, Gregor, and get a bit of your background and stuff. But at least let's the listeners. How's your week? What were we up to? How's the job going?
Cool. So yes, I mean, I suppose I could say is I work with Uber Eats and the sales team in Scotland, and yeah, it's been a weird kind of week where last week was a bit slow and still kind of getting to grips with the whole processes of the job and kind of getting used to how to manage my time effectively in the role. And that's something that I think everybody maybe gets, tries to learn and gets to grip with as you learn the ins and outs of communications, the job, what you're doing, what your targets are, like how you're supposed to run your day.
Yeah.
And it's everybody's at home working, and it's very weird joining a company where you don't meet anybody physically, you're just through a screen. Okay, we have a lot of FaceTime on like a Zoom call, but you still don't get that interaction. And I'm still working from home, seeing the same four walls every day. And it just, yeah, sometimes you just have a bad day, right? And
Yeah.
you just kind of, I think you just need to go like, I understand I'm having a bad day. It's not the only day of the week or the month. So you just keep playing on. And that kind of keeps me going. And that kind of like makes me go like, yeah, so maybe last week was a bit slow, but like, what's it going to be in a month time, 2 months time? It's gonna get better. So yeah, it's been all right.
You're reviewing your weeks by week to say what happened that week, see what can do, any changes, and having a bad week is fine. It's like the mental attitude as well. It's that mental ability to just be like, it's fine to have a bad day or a bad, week, and just continuing. I think that's like a really, with this aspect of like working from home, there'll be a lot of people that are struggling with it, not being able to go out and see colleagues and, oh, do you want to go for a coffee quickly? Let's go for a coffee and then come back and things.
Exactly.
That aspect, I don't know how you're feeling about that. Like you're obviously coping with it, but do you think it's certainly a challenge?
Yeah, it's definitely getting that way. I think, almost pretty much a year in lockdown, working from home. A lot of time sitting down tied to a computer, and you try to do things to split up your day, or you have something to look forward to. Today was straight after work, went for a cycle. Stuff like that just makes you go, yeah, I've got this to look forward to. I can take a break whenever I want, sort of the style I kind of run my day, and that parts of that makes me go, yeah, a 15-minute break here is good. I don't need to be at the computer for 15 minutes, and that's my choice, and that makes me go, yeah, I'll be more motivated, more motivated when I go back to the computer to do my job.
Yeah.
Or I have a meeting or set up meetings with other people in the company that are in totally different locations from me, and that's good as well. So yeah, there's always opportunities there, I think, to broaden your mind and not feel like you're alone and not feel like you're stuck in the same place, which I think is, the company's quite good at that as well. So yeah, and I guess you'll feel the same, but at uni must feel quite alone as well. No lectures, but you've got people to reach out to, but still it's quite isolating.
Yeah, I definitely think it's definitely not being able to go to the library and then see all the other students that are in your year doing the same work, have a just quick chat, be like, oh, how are you getting on, where you at, and you just, I've not got, because I did jumped into third year, I've not got the same connection with some of the people, so I don't feel like I can just message people. Whereas if they're in uni and stuff, I would just walk up to them and be like, I feel like that's okay.
Yeah, definitely.
It's anyway. What we'll do, we'll move on from there,
Cool.
and we'll
That's
get
good.
to the next page.
Don't worry about the thing, 'cause every little thing gonna be all right.
Welcome back to McEwan Brothers Part 2. Hello, Gregor. Welcome back to Part 2 of the podcast. And this is about America and our final leg of our America trip. Where did we go?
Yes. Where did we go?
Oh boy, Boston. So we went from Buffalo and we got the train, was it not?
No, a flight.
A flight.
Yeah. Do you remember the plane taking off? And we've got loads of photos, and it's like sun was setting.
Was that not landing? So we were coming in.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
In Boston, and Boston's surrounded by water.
No. Yes, it is. You're right. Totally right.
It's surrounded by water. And coming in, and I'm sure the sun was setting, and we were just coming in with the flight. Pretty nice, stunning views of the city of Boston.
Yeah, I mean, Boston's quite, I think my memory is kind of fading, but the airport was quite central, or wasn't too far to go. And between there and our hostel, stayed in another hostel, and we ended up staying very central. Do you remember the
Yeah.
actual Boston? It was the High Boston Hostel, and we were there for quite
I
a
want to
wee
say
while.
3 nights.
Yeah,
I want to say 3 nights.
three
So
nights.
I remember arriving, and when you go to the reception desk, they had cookies on a jar,
Yes.
and they're like, I was like, "Can you help yourself?" And she's like, "Yeah." So I took in, it was like had a couple, and then as we were leaving, I took a handful to our room, thinking, I could get a wee something to eat. The woman's like perfectly fine with it and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, clearly you can tell other people do it as well. And then do you remember we got to the room? So it wasn't just a room for us; it was a shared room with a few other people, and they were from. Were they
Oh,
not? I can't remember. They were traveling the same sort of thing as us. They were like going all over the place. But I always remember like when I get into the room, it was quite interesting.
just like a little. I was gonna say a little couple, but they were little. A couple.
Yeah, yeah, it was a couple.
So we were in a room. Yeah, I remember booking it, and you had the choice of like, a room with 6 people, a room with 4. I think you could have like a room with 2, but it was more expensive. So we got the room with 4, and yeah, it worked out perfectly, really.
Perfect. Yeah, I always feel like Boston. So when we arrived and we started to actually start moving out the next day and going to see stuff around Boston, I felt like Boston was a completely different feeling from everywhere else we had been.
I'd agree.
I felt like we were walking about, and it was the built up aspect of it was when you go further into the city and more central of it, it was very narrow, and you just everything felt a bit smaller. I don't know if you had that sort of same
Yeah,
aspect of feeling.
yeah. It's obviously it's nowhere near as big as New York, as in how built it up it is in the I guess like the CBD, this like the center. Um, almost a bit like the CBD, and then as soon as you kind of crept out the CBD a wee bit, you then got to like suburbs quite quickly.
Yeah,
And obviously there was a lot of on the first day we done that cycling tour, which was
yeah,
organized by the hostel, which was great.
brilliant. I remember looking at the other day actually, looked at that day. So it's Google, if you don't know this, Google can actually track your day and how many miles you've done on that if you have your location settings turned on. So if you actually just go to that day, so if you go in Google Maps and then on the wee tab in the corner and you go to your timeline, and you can actually see where you've been on what days
No way.
if you've got it set it up. So I had it set up for America. So it worked out that we had done 11 miles that day cycling.
That's so cool. I had no idea
It's
we'd
just
done that
over
much.
11, just over
Yeah.
11 miles. I've got it. I've got it because I first time I looked at it and set it up was when I bought the phone, because I figured out that you could actually like have it set up so like if you were on a holiday or if you went somewhere on one day and you forgot where you've been, you can actually just look at it because it will pick it up. Such as my first ever date with my girlfriend, we went bowling and it shows the date and the time I picked her up at her house and took her there when we went bowling. And
Is it,
just
in a
one of
way, is
them,
it like that's a bit creepy, but it's a cool feature.
yeah. I think in the aspect of obviously it tracks, it's like that's Google basically tracking you every
I guess
move.
like you're tracked everywhere anyway, so
Yeah, it's tracking you everywhere. And then instead of the data just being disappeared and you're not getting it, at least you get to save it into your phone and you can look back on it. So like 10, 15 years from now, if I want to look back at what I did in Boston, I can be like, okay, actually, we did this and we went all around here and we did that. Obviously, some of the satellite images, it's not the best because what it does, it just jumps you.
okay,
But the cycling, it actually picked up, it went a cycle. So it picked up, I was on a bike.
cool. Yeah, that's nice. So yeah, we got these like bikes in Boston, just the ones that you hire, and they're normal pedal bikes, and I think they weren't too expensive as well. But
Yeah, I
Boston
don't
is
remember.
Boston is quite flat as well, so we kind of I don't know I don't know the route we did, but it was quite kind of around the center, outskirts, and then just kind of a proper loop to get your kind of bearings. and then that gave us a good foundation for where we wanted to go, like, you know, the following days, which was good.
Yeah.
So do you remember the kind of outdoor book market that we saw?
Oh yeah. There's just this like we were trying to find food at the point, and we're just wandering about, and came across this basically a part of the building that had been destroyed, was it not? And it's just like a outdoor section of books next to a bookshop.
Yeah. And it's called, what it was called, or it still is, the Brattle Bookshop. So if you're ever
Yeah.
in Boston, it's a cool little spot. Literally books out in the open, no shelter, in between two big buildings. It was very cool. So after there, we went to, I'm pretty sure we just went across the road and got some food.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember just going to like out. It had like really open front and sitting having some food. Nothing I would say was anything special, so I wouldn't actually recommend anything. Just perfectly fine. And
Yeah.
then from there, I think we head further into center of Boston,
Mhm.
and this is when we started to see a bit more of the history of Boston, obviously, such as is it the Quincy markets?
Yeah. Yeah,
Was
yeah.
quite fascinating, and we came across this obviously the circus act guy that was outside on the massive
Unicycle.
unicycle sort of thing, juggling and doing all these tricks and stuff. That was quite fun to watch and stuff. Everyone's just standing around cheering, and the guys getting everyone involved and stuff. That was quite good.
Yeah. Reminds me of like the Royal Mile in Edinburgh.
Yeah,
And it's like the festival. Then I guess obviously Boston's, you know, right on next to the you know, it's got some harbour and all that sort of thing. So there's a lot of really nice, basically boats in there, kind of like old fashioned sailing boats, which looked
Yeah.
unbelievable. And we again hired bikes and we went out to, God, this must have been the day we done, this was the same day we done the 11 miles?
So on this day, so the night before when we flew in, as we were flying in, I remember seeing this island. It kind of looked like an island. Obviously, you could see that you could cycle to it, and I seen it, and I thought, I wonder if we can get out to that and just see what's on the island. Thinking it was maybe like a prison or it was like a camp of some sort that had been used maybe in the war. And so we got the bikes again and decided to cycle all the way out there, and found out that it was like on the path of the planes. So as we're cycling out here, it's plane after plane after plane flying by, and we stopped for a minute and just went, "This is crazy! They're flying so low, and you're just like seeing these planes just constantly going up. Like some of them taking off, some of them flight coming in."
Yeah, I totally forgot about that.
So we ended up finding out there's a wee shop on the island, and we got a wee something to eat and had a drink and sat and watched some planes for it was probably half an hour.
Yeah, I think we were knackered after cycling all the way out there.
Yeah.
Then for sure there's like the whale watch. There's like obviously boats there we can go and, you know, hire, or you get a ticket to go on the boat and go and watch the whales. We didn't do that because, do you know why we didn't do it?
They weren't, so they actually weren't on the whales at that time of year. They were like not actually doing. The only thing that was going out was the speedboat one.
Oh yeah.
And then we looked at the prices and stuff, and we just thought, well, we're going to get the value of that, and also our time constraints. We had already done a lot in the day, and I don't know if the last boat was ready to go or something. We were just thought, nah, it's just didn't seem of value to us. So
Yeah.
I think that was pretty much us for that day. We kind of just went back, got some food, and chilled.
Did we hold up? Did we not think about going to see a sports or going to check out some like sports stadium?
However, that is not that same day. That is a different day. So we went back to the hotel room, and I don't know if you remember this, but in the hotel there was board games, and these people were just sitting all over the place playing. So it was one of these hostels that had actually had a kitchen, proper good sized kitchen, and you could go in and you get your waffles and things like that.
You've got a big burrito here.
Yeah, we got like some really, we got some interesting food in Boston to be fair. When you think about it, we went to a Chinese member place as well.
Oh yeah, I'm totally forgetting about these places.
We ordered it ended up being like a tapas for us because we just bought tons of wee dishes to try. Some of them were a bit iffy and some of them were quite good actually.
Yeah.
But at night, do you remember sitting playing chess again?
Yeah. Did you win again?
I think I got beat. I think I got beat that time.
Oh, tables had
So
turned.
I'm actually quite surprised that on the trip, 2 times on the trip, me and you at some point have played chess more than we must have played it about 6 times
Yeah.
while the trip. And it's something I never thought I'd ever play or anything. So that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Good pastime.
So then the next day was when we got up and decided to try and see if we could go to a baseball game.
Gotcha.
And
Yeah.
that is when we were like, went back in the bikes, went cycled down to try and get tickets, see if we could get last minute tickets, and stuff like that.
Is that
And
the Red Sox at Fenway
yeah,
Park?
Red Sox.
That too, yeah.
Was it not Red Sox Yankees?
I honestly don't know. God, it's so bad. I probably do you want me to have a look? Oh, Boston Red Sox is the team.
Yeah.
Baseball team. The Yankees are New York, right?
Yeah, no, but were they not going against?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. So it was those two because the Yankees were there, and you can definitely tell like the accent difference between the two.
I remember we spent some time the night before actually looking at tickets, and you couldn't see any tickets and stuff. You think for like these sort of games that there'd be at least like 1 or 2 tickets available, or like a ticket office. But I remember me and you looking about, really struggling to find anything of the sorts to like get in. So I think that kind of just it hit a dead end. We were like, yeah, we're not going to see that, which is a bit of one of the things I definitely wanted to see. I wanted to see like a basketball game or like a baseball game, but basketball was out of season, so basketball wasn't on that when we were there. But baseball was obviously there in their season, and just
yeah, I think that's one thing that we would probably miss out on is going to like sports game.
Yeah, definitely. I just wanted to see the atmosphere and feel it and get like the hot dog. Come and get your hot dog.
Yeah, fair. So I'm pretty sure that same day we went to the MIT. We went to MIT.
Oh yeah.
Started exploring that little area. And do you remember the little room which had Tetris on the skyscraper building, like a model skyscraper? You could play Tetris.
I'm struggling to remember actually.
There's like a night MIT building. You kind of walked around, and there's obviously like these labs where they're building all this sort of technical stuff. And there's a little kind of display which had a skyscraper, and each window was like made up a Tetris shape. And as it fell down, you could basically the lights went up, and you basically just played Tetris on a skyscraper. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that now. That was good.
We went to that kind of museum with the weird shapes, the little objects that would rotate and do different things, made from like tiny little bits of metal.
Yeah, I just struggled to remember some of these.
I'm just looking at photos, and there was a gear, like a gearbox with all these different gears linked together. And I'm reading now, it would take like the last gear would take 13.7 billion years for the last gear to complete a full rotation.
I've just clicked with where you're talking about and where the museum and stuff and all the weird basically the moving objects. Yeah. Completely, yeah. That's definitely a place if you want to see it. I can't remember exactly where it was, but
near MIT.
Yeah, definitely go see that.
And do you remember the little idea hub? We had to go build like a little contraption for the ball to go in.
I think it was like it was clearly just for like wee kids to go in, I think. But me and you were sitting like trying to build about it and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, we love that.
Anyway, that was a good bit of fun. And then from that, I think we actually it got quite late. It was starting to get dark at that point, and that was really quite far out. Do you remember?
Yeah, but we went even further to Harvard, to the actual dorms.
Yeah, yeah. No, I remember that, but I'm saying like so after we were out that far, we were trying to make our way back in some half decent time. In and back in, trying to get somewhere to eat. And do you remember just struggling to find anywhere?
Is that not the night we went to the Chinese?
Yeah, we went to another Chinese that was like it was a bit odd, but it was so busy.
Oh yeah, and we got a seat right next to the kitchen doors.
Yeah. I've just remembered why we were struggling to get into places. Age. We didn't have ID.
Oh, was that an issue?
Yeah.
I
Because
don't
you remember we hit there's a certain time at night where they turned to like just bars.
Oh yeah.
Because remember we had the issue when we were in Philadelphia where the people were saying, "Oh, we're just about to shut up with that," and it was like a bar after that, and then we couldn't be in.
Yeah.
So we had the issue of trying to get somewhere to eat. So we ended up getting somewhere to eat, going back to the hostel and playing some. Do you know what we played?
What? Oh, pool.
Yeah, played some pool. It was quite a good hostel considering what we paid for and then the facilities it had and stuff for the night. And
I know.
that was pretty much it.
The breakfast was quite nice as well. There was loads of
Yeah.
choice.
They certainly catered to all needs and they had a white, remember the board they had for like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and everything that was going on, people that would come in and do things with you and stuff like that. And it was definitely a really nice hostel. Do you want to just let the audience know what was the name of it again? So we can
Hi Boston. Hi Boston.
Hi Boston. And how much do you have our costs?
I do. Let me pull up. So we were there for 3 nights. I'll let you guess. How much?
So we're there for 3 nights. We were probably it was 70. I would say 210 per person.
Per person?
Yeah.
I
We're there
mean,
for 2 nights.
we're there for 3 nights.
3 nights. Yeah,
Yeah.
210 per person.
Right. So it was 390
Per person.
No, that was for both of us.
That's pretty good, eh?
That is good.
3 nights. Here comes the money. So then from that, I think what we'll do is this episode is fairly long and hope you guys have enjoyed and listened to it.
Let's wrap it up.
And we're gonna wrap it up, wind it up, wind the clock, and call it quits right here. We then we got on a train and we headed off to our final destination, which we will reveal next week.
Have we not said it? Or we'll keep it a secret if whoever's.
If you're just starting to listen, keep it. But then if you want to go back and learn, listen.
Yes, you should go back and listen to our other cities that we visited, which were.
We went to New York, Washington. Really? Got them wrong because I got them wrong.
Yeah, wrong way around, and then up to Buffalo. Yeah, cool.
Buffalo, Canada, back down to Boston, and on a choo-choo train to ... Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you guys next week.
Cool. Speak to you next week. Bye. Yeah, say bye.
Bye.